So I think my important event is important to me, but it's something that happens to a lot of people actually. So it's definitely not like a tragedy or a sob story or anything. But when I was 16, a junior in high school, I lived in California and I lived there my whole life. My dad was an assistant pastor at a very large church, and I went to the school that was connected there, and I was very involved. I played on the volleyball, the basketball team. I was student body president. I had very close friends, and I had been dating the same guy for about 2 years, maybe a year and a half at that point. And my dad felt called to take a pastorate in Michigan. Most of my family is from Michigan. My parents are both Michigan natives, but they had moved to California before I was born, so California was all I had ever known. I was a very happy-go-lucky person in California. I got along with just about everyone. I didn't have very many insecurities, honestly, and I had never experienced social anxiety. I didn't even understand the concept. And when we moved to Michigan, it was completely against my will as a 16-year-old, and it seemed like the most devastating thing to happen to me. I eventually broke up with my boyfriend. I developed severe social anxiety. I would eat my lunches just in a bathroom stall at our new high school, which I hated. I went through a very strange personality reconstruction, honestly, and was not my best self. I was angry with my parents. I didn't talk to them for a while. And I just developed a lot of bad habits and a lot of bad coping mechanisms because they were a lot of things that I've never had to deal with before. I really just had to sit with myself and learn more about who I was as a person on the inside instead of just who I was in my comfort zone and when I was surrounded by people who made me feel good about myself. And I went through a dark period, if you will, for about a year and a half. And I went back to California for my freshman year of college, just to kind of reconnect with friends. And California just seemed to me to embody everything that I had lost and wanted back. And I thought maybe I would find it if I went back there my freshman year of college. And I wouldn't call it a mistake because I think that God used that year in my life. But I learned that you can't return to a former state of self. You are who you are from your experiences. And I had a new experience for the past year. And so I could no longer be the person that I was 3 years before. And I learned to realize that I no longer wanted to be the person who I was before. And I made several mistakes my freshman year, but I learned a lot. I was able to kind of just remove myself from California to realize that there's more for me outside of than what I had known as a 17-year-old. And that's how I ended up at Liberty. I got out of a relationship that was wrong for me and kind of had to undergo an entirely new personality reconstruction. When I came to Liberty, I had to grapple again with this social anxiety that I had in Michigan and realized that basically I'm not the main character. There are people out there who are friendly, and if I am friendly as well, then I'll make more friends. And I really just learned to trust God's plan in my life. I had never really experienced a giant change of circumstances until that move. And I had been raised in a semi-legalistic Baptist upbringing where the will of God was a very narrow path. As far as there were a lot of restrictions placed by religious leaders in my life for this is what the will of God will look like for you. And if you make a mistake or if you take the wrong step, then you're going to lose basically your path. That is the will of God. And after having those kind of 3 to 4 years, I just really started to grasp the fact that if I was overwhelmingly pursuing the character of Christ and pursuing who he wanted to me to be in discipleship, then he would take care of the steps. And every step that I take, if I immerse myself in the experience that is given to me, that is how I will get the most out of it. When I moved back to California for my freshman year and looked back on how my time in Michigan had gone, I realized that I had missed out on a lot because I was so obsessive about the steps behind me and the steps in front of me that I wanted to take and not the ones that I was taking right then. And that's a very life-changing lesson that I've learned from my experience, and I'm thankful for it now.